Hey there, Wargamers, and welcome back to another Wargames Delivered video. Be sure to visit us at wargamesdelivered.com to get the paints, miniatures, and supplies used in this video, and also to refer a friend. You guys will both get a $15 discount, and with that, let's get into the video. In this video, we will be highlighting Anakin Skywalker, as well as painting the lightsaber. Both of these models are from Star Wars Legion. In the first video, we base coated this mini with the new speed paints, and now we'll be improving upon that. Starting off, we will highlight the tunic using a 1-to-1 blend of Uniform Gray to Necromancer Cloak, and we use the speed paint Occultist Cloak as our base coat here, so this blend will transition quite nicely into the highlight for the tunic. With a lot of these newer speed paints, they are really easy to match to the closest acrylic color from the Warpaints line, but you can also mix your own highlights to match the base coat exactly how you'd like it. Like I'm doing here, it's very important to move the model to make it easier to highlight certain areas, like the inside of his tunic here, for example. I always find it easier to move the painting handle or the mini rather than my brush hand. And really what I'm doing is going for an edge highlight around the tunic and also being sure to pick out the raised folds on the tunic with this color before we move on to the next step. And I must have set the paint bottle somewhere else for this shot, but we're using Fur Brown from the acrylic line to bring out some of the detail on his robes. Try to use the side of your brush to paint thin lines across raised folds of the robes for best results. As always with highlighting, just take your time and make sure you don't have too much paint on your brush. You want to avoid letting the paint run in recessed areas, so try to thin the paint down just a tad less than normal for these edge highlights. For anyone interested in trying out some of these paints for yourself, we have a promotion for all of the Army Paints or paint lines over on our website at wargamesdelivered.com, where if you buy 6, you'll get 3 free paints of your choice with your order. There's a link for this promotion in the description below. Next up, we will highlight the pants and some spots on the boots to really accentuate some of that detail using leather brown. And with this, simply follow the advice of the last step to build up clean highlights. This will also help change the overall tone of these areas, giving them some distinction between the brown on the robe. If you'd like to pick up all of the paints we used as our base coats for this mini, the Speed Paint 2.0 complete set is available for pre-order on our website over at wargamesdelivered.com. The set contains all 89 new speed paint colors and a large bottle of medium as well, which I find very useful. Pick up yours now, available May 27th. I also decided to paint the straps on his boots here just to really bring out this color a little bit more on the mini. Next up, we can move on to enhancing the skin tone a bit with Barbarian Flesh. We're looking to paint the majority of the face with this color and also highlight the hands quite a bit as well. In Star Wars Legion, Anakin acts as a commander for the Galactic Republic. He synergizes very well with his clone troopers and is a very destructive force in melee combat. His affinity for the dark side is represented in the game by a trait called Fatal Flaw, making him more aggressive and less predictable than some other Jedi commanders. Once you've built up a nice mid-tone with the Barbarian Flesh here, we're going to move on to highlighting all of the skin tones. And with this, we're going to do a 1-to-1 ratio of Mummy robes and Barbarian Flesh. And you're really just looking to pick out the cheeks, the nose, the forehead, and the tips of the fingers with this step. My sort of mantra when highlighting faces is where is the light hitting the model the most? If you follow that rule, then you'll usually highlight in the correct spots. With those highlights done, we can move on to some of the more fun parts of the model, which is doing the metallics and the lightsaber. Starting out with plate mail metal here, we're going to block in the buckle and the details on his belt, as well as the hilt of the lightsaber. You may need 2 thin coats of this to get a really nice solid metallic finish, but be very careful around everything else that we've already painted because speed paints can be very hard to clean up at this stage. I also forgot to mention earlier that he has some metallic clasps on his gloves that we'll pick out with plate mail metal as well. We also have a huge clearance on all of our speed paint classics over at wargamesdelivered.com, where if you use the code CLASSIC, all caps, you'll get 5 free speed paints, the 1.0s, with any purchase of 10. Check out the link below in the description to pick them up, and be sure to use the code CLASSIC, all capitals, at checkout. And now to darken down those metallic bits and add a bit of wear and tear to them, we'll coat them with a thin layer of dark tone. As you can see, I'm using a very small brush to really pinpoint where I want the wash to go without letting it run. Give that wash step a little bit of extra time to dry, and with those done, that really just leaves the lightsaber to finish up here. And this is a method that I picked up from Duncan Rhodes, all credit goes to him, who is a huge inspiration for my painting journey. So we'll start out by adding a few layers of Voidshield Blue to the entire blade of the lightsaber until it is completely opaque. If you pay attention to the lightsabers in the films and in the shows, you'll kind of notice that the center of the blade is a very bright white, while the actual color of the blade glows around the center. So next up, we're going to use matte white to paint a solid line right down the middle of the blade. Repeat this on either side, on the back as well, and leave the Voidshield Blue showing on the top and the bottom of the blade to kind of simulate that glowing effect. It may take a little correcting with each color to really look right, so take your time and try to paint as straight as you can on the lines so the blade still reads kind of like a cylinder. And after a little bit of back and forthing, if you will, with this paint, you should have a faint blue glow around the top and bottom of the blade with a pure white center. You can really use this technique with any lightsaber color, as you can see from the thumbnail and the intro and outro of this video. And once the lightsaber is dry, I recommend varnishing it right away just to really seal in that color once you're happy with it. In our closing shot, you can see the difference to just using speed paints with Yoda here and using speed paints plus highlights with Anakin. They work great on their own, the speed paints, but using a few acrylics and taking the extra time to highlight can really bring your minis to the next level. Thank you guys so much for watching. Be sure to like, comment, and subscribe for more painting tutorials, and also be sure to check out the top link in the description for the giveaway attached to this video. Thanks again, guys, and happy wargaming!